Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Board Games Unlocked, and Brad and I are continuing our top 100 games of all time, and we are in the second to last video of this is the last one of the list that no one really cares about. No matter what, it gets to the top 10, and that's always the video that I get the most views on, but that's all right. Here we have a phenomenal list of games, at least I do.
Yep.
Where this is actually probably the best overall list because I only have 3 that fell, 1 new, and the rest are rose.
I had 3 fall, 1 stayed the same, and then the rest all rose.
Okay.
And I
awesome.
had 1 significant raise.
Really?
Big time.
I do not have a significant raise. Kind of. I mean, depending on what you consider significant, but this is kind of where, my top 20, really is just they kind of stick around here. It's kind of it'd be kind of weird if in the top 20 something drastically fell within 1 year, but that might happen. Let's go ahead and get started with my number 20, which is one that rose. This is not the highest rise in here, but it is the second of this particular segment. It was 34 last year, so it rose 14 spots, and it was 43 the year before that. And this is a game that I don't get played a lot, but whenever I do, it's always an amazing experience. Well, I guess not always, because I've played this game at max players, and that was miserable. But every other time it was awesome, and that is Nemesis. Nemesis is one of the games by Awakened Realms that I find absolutely fantastic. I think the sweet spot for this game is 4, and you never go higher than that. It is just way too long, and there's not enough to do to justify the length of the game with that many people. But if you're not familiar with Nemesis, it's basically Alien, where everyone has kind of a either personal or corporate objective, and they're trying to complete those. So it's relatively semi-cooperative, or it could be fully cooperative if everyone picks that particular objective. But what's really neat about that is that everyone is given 2, and the only time you have to decide which one you're going for is once the first intruder lands on the ship. So then that's when everyone decides. So you get to play a little bit to see how things are going. If you're playing it out and one person, you need a particular player to die, then it's and then they're the one that spawns the alien, you might be like, oh, well, it's not going so great for him, and you might pick that one. But what's also neat is if you need particular players to be killed, you can't directly do that. You can't run in and just shoot them. But what you can do is you can run into their room, bring a bunch of aliens with you, run out of the room, and lock the door behind you and be like, oh, sorry, I don't know how that happened. Oh, no. It's a solid game. Hand management for the players. It's incredibly atmospheric and a wonderful experience. There is an app that I just found out that has this game, where it's like a management app. So it kind of does a lot of the bookkeeping for you. So I think that would help out quite a bit, just in terms of immersion. But yeah, one of the few semi-cooperative games that I think actually works. And yeah, that's my number 20, Nemesis.
And this is on our list because this is one I want to play at some point. I know it's hard to get 4 people, but
I've also heard 3 is really good, but I haven't personally tried 3. So definitely willing to give it a shot.
All right. Well, my number 20 is a game that's been on my list the last couple of years, and it actually rose quite a bit this year. It's not my highest rise of this group, but it was actually 83 last year.
Dang.
So it went up 63 spots.
63 spots.
Well, my next one's even way higher than that. So
it was my number 200. Now it's my 20. It's why?
You're close. But this one is my favorite to date. It's my favorite Star Wars game to play because it plays good solo. It plays good at other player counts. and that is Star Wars Outer Rim. This one I really enjoy just because of how, because you're a smuggler, a scoundrel, whatever you want to call them. But you start off really basic. You pick your pilot, you have your basic ship, and you're choosing what you do, whether you're running legit pick up and deliver stuff, whether you're bounty hunting, whether you're doing all this different stuff. You're hiring crew members that are people that you know from the Star Wars universe to help your stuff as well. And you also will deal with there's warring factions out on the rim that you'll kind of have to stay away from or deal with from time and again. Pretty much, if you've played Firefly, the board game, this is a better, more streamlined version of that. I mean, you get to choose your missions. You kind of choose how you want to play. So I think that's what I like, because I really enjoyed Firefly, but the games would take forever, and it was such a long, drawn out slog of a game that this is a 90-minute game. I mean, it's maybe 2 hours, the very, very most, depending on how many players you have. But you're pretty much trying to have the most fame by the end of the game. I mean, that's kind of what you're shooting for. And then it has your popular ships you can finally get it up to, like the Millennium Falcon. You don't start with that, but you can work your ship up to the point where you buy the Millennium Falcon or whatever.
Okay.
What saved this game, because I played it a lot, and then I felt like it was just kind of dead in the water. It was just kind of floating in outer space, with that. And then the Unfinished Business expansion came out.
And that was just kind of like just a more
it just
expansion.
Added more. Yeah. I mean, there was a couple little differences, but not enough to make it. I mean, like, it just added more pilots, more missions, more stuff. And that just brought it to where it's at a really good sweet spot right now. I fully expect them to still add a little bit more down the road, because with that Unfinished Business deal, I was fully expecting the Mandalorian to be in there, and he wasn't. So I'm assuming they would ride that popularity at some point.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know if the oh god damn it, for Star Wars Rebellion, the Rogue One introduction, I don't know if that helped it sell at all.
Yeah. So even if it doesn't, though, I mean, having the Unfinished, the base game alone is great, but having the expansion along with it just gives you more options and more choices. And if you like Star Wars, the theme of this is really good. Doesn't have the same thematic underlining as like Rebellion, because Rebellion had its good theme parts and you could really get involved with that. But this game is just more elegant and more smooth, and easier to learn, I think.
Cool.
So yeah, it's crept into my top 20. We'll see if it stays up there, but it's definitely a good one.
Yeah. I've heard nothing but good things. Have not played this one. So no particular reason, just haven't played it.
Right. Yep.
All right, good deal. Well, my number 19 is one of the few that fell in this segment, and it only fell, it was number 10 last year, so it did fall out of my top 10. Not by much though, so obviously fell. Wow, I am dumb. It fell 19 spots. So it was my number 0. Apparently fell 9 spots. In 2020 was my number 7. So the past couple of years it's been in my top 10, but not this year. And it's only because I haven't played it. This is one that you kind of do have to be in a mood for, and the setup is kind of bad. I think I purchased an insert for this off of Etsy, so that might help just bring it to the table. And that is This War of Mine, another Awakened Realms game, back to back, and this one is just exquisite. It was one of the very first Kickstarters that I backed and watched Rado talk about it, and I was like, okay, sure, I've never really heard of the video game, but this sounds like a cool story-driven game. And it absolutely is. The theme is you're playing civilians basically in that in that rundown building, just trying to do everything you can to survive the what do they call it, the takeover, I guess. It doesn't never really say like what the war is. I
Right.
think that this game is based off of an actual siege, but it's not like drawing. It's not actually literal. But what's really cool about this is no one actually controls a particular character. Everyone is kind of controlling these characters that kind of move around the house, clear up rubble to be able to make room so you can put a fucking bed in the building, so you can build a furnace. And that's kind of what you do throughout the day. Use resources, and at night is whenever you go out to locations. And that's where a lot of your story stuff is going to happen as you're traveling there. You come across whatever it might be, because it has its own book of scripts of horrendous situations that are realistic, and you do what you can and get stuff that you're going to need to bring back to the house. And these characters all have status effects. They could be hungry, they could be sick, they could be injured, they could be miserable, they could be tired. And yeah, you're just trying to survive. It is kind of campaigny. Like, I think you have to survive like 3 full chapters before you actually win the game. But it's very difficult to do so. This game is not easy to win, just because as things go on, like if a character, you go out and they just get fucking shot in the head and you're like, oh, cool. And then you come back to the house and they're like, where's Anton? And you're like, who? Let's not worry about him. Like, let's just eat our boiled leather and just hope that we can make it another day.
Anton was the old dude, right?
Anton's a fucking mathematician. He offers nothing.
Yeah.
Like, I've had him in every game I've played. I randomize every character, and I'm like, God damn it. Okay, I guess I'm playing on hard mode, because they all have characteristics. Certain fate cards will come out that's just like, oh, resolve everyone's A ability. And sometimes it's like, some of them can be good. Like, hey, if there's food, then the chef makes a meal for everyone and reduce everyone's hunger level. It's like, yay. But then Anton's is like, oh, he's fucking sad because he can't read, increases misery. And then it's like, oh no, we got a book. Yay, hey, here you go, Anton, go read in the fucking corner. And then he stays up all night, so then he's tired. And you're like, dude. And he can't carry shit. He has like the highest empathy. So any sad thing, you walk out slightly cold and he's crying. It's like, dude, go find another house. But yeah, that's just kind of a lot of the stuff that you're doing. And there's a lot that goes on in this game, but it's pretty great. Last time I played it, I sent everyone out. I was like, okay, well, we don't really have any goods here, so we'll just go out. And there is a specific event that causes, if there's no one left to defend the house, you come back and you lose the game because people took your house. And I'm like, oh, I thought we would just kind of have a event. Nope, that's just a lose condition. Well, let's pack it up, boys. So yeah, this one is absolutely wonderful. So it's my number 19.
All right, good choice. All right, so here comes my big one that jumped a ton. It was 154 last year. And I think it was that high because I had just dipped my toe in the game a little bit at that point.
Okay.
So I think I'd maybe only played it once at that point, and that's just where it fell. But I've played it a lot since then. I have everything for it. It is a wonderful solo experience, even though that's not what it's not truly a solo game. They just have all these solo scenarios to play with it. It's probably from my overall favorite board game company, Chip Theory. This one really is a beautiful game. It has a bit of a learning curve, but once you pick it up and figure out what you're doing, it's just an awesome game all around. And that is Cloud.
Wow.
Yeah. This
Dang.
one I played a bunch since last year.
God
just
damn.
all the solo scenarios, and
this is one I recommended for you, huh?
Yeah. Yep. And you don't even own it anymore, do you?
I do not. This is one I've owned, gotten rid of, got back, and then got rid of again. And I've been looking at the stuff and I'm like, I could own that again.
Yeah, it's I just love playing the solo scenarios because you pick
They're
your
so
packs
good.
and you go through, and it's so well done. And if you don't know what Cloudspire is, it's your typical tower defense or MOBA style game. And you're going to set up, there's this one shows. So like there's bases at two different ends or multiple different ends, depending on what scenario you're playing. And all these enemies are marching from their base clear over to yours. You're defending yours by taking them out. There's different little chip things you'll come across throughout the deal. There's also spires that you'll have to deal with. If you have the model spires, those are awesome to see out there as well. You put all your chips under it, and
there's some of them are a pain in the ass.
They are. Some of them are. They didn't really put too much. Yeah, there's some of them that are just kind of a pain, but yeah. But I like just everything about this game with like you pick your faction. The factions all play completely different. And this one was, I'm trying to think, because this came out after Too Many Bones originally. The original Too Many Bones, I believe.
Well, I'm on Board Game Geek right now, so
yeah.
Too Many Bones came out in 2017.
I think this was like 18.
2019.
Okay, yeah. Yep, so Too Many Bones originally came out first, or Hoplomachus was their first, then Too Many Bones, and then they came out with this. And just being able to turn that style of game and being able to use the chips and just the simple everything neoprene, obviously it's chip theory.
Yep.
And the art's awesome. The like I said a second ago, the factions all play totally different from each other. And if you play it with the solo or even the co-op versions, there's so many damn scenarios. And when you get those books, there's just a ton.
The two hardcover books. Yeah.
There's just a total huge book of just solo and cooperative stuff. And you had it for Cloudspire, and then there's another one for the new stuff when the new factions came out. And there's just so much to play with this game. And when it's set up on the table, this picture doesn't do it a whole lot of justice, but just the colors pop and it's an awesome game. I mean, you can upgrade your stronghold at the your base at the end. You can do upgrades on it to do different stuff. It's very strategic. You have to really watch.
Yeah.
Because the bad guys will just like a MOBA game. I mean, they're going to move X number of spots and they're just going to go right down that path, and you have to be ready for it and stuff. So they're
really creative with the factions. I think it's crazy because Too Many Bones came out. I didn't even know it came out before this. Because how much support they put into Too Many Bones, I would have thought it would have been the newest one, because they kind of have one expansion like since release, really. I know there are a few expansions, but one new one, it was just a 2-faction thing, and they're like, all right, whatever, Cloudspire, it's done.
Well, and I think it's just I think Too Many Bones took off a lot more. Like Cloudspire is good, and a lot of people like it and stuff, but I don't think it has like the fandom that Too Many Bones had, because Too Many Bones was just like uber popular and was the one that everybody was pining for.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one, I mean, it's in my top 100 to stay at this point. Whether it stays this high or not just depends on how much I play it and stuff. But yeah, this was one I was late to the party on, and it was outstanding.
It's super good. I mean, I have only played this at 2 and solo. I've played it solo, and that's really good. The AI is very well done. And I like how
played it solo.
Okay. I like how the solo is kind of story driven, and it's faction specific. You start out as the Brahmin. Yeah, the giants. You start out with them against the heirs, which are the birds. Which they're my favorite faction, is the birds. But yeah, and then it kind of has like a narrative thing, and then you kind of go, okay, now you're this faction, and you kind of have like objectives on how well you do. It's a really good way of doing it. Like, definitely the best MOBA game out there. I think this shits on Rum and Bones.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Not that there's like a plethora of MOBA games out there, but those two are the most popular ones that I can think of, and this one just does it so well. So yeah, this is a good one. I'm probably going to pick it up again at one point because it is good. Like, it just hardly ever gets played. But yeah, I would never play this at like 3 or 4.
Oh god, no. Solo's the only reason I ever got it, was just strictly because that the AI is so good. It's like you're playing another person, really. I mean,
You are,
it's,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah, no, I agree. I am amazed it's this high. But
you're gonna notice a lot of my games from here on up are ones that I play solo a lot. So
yeah, that's
so
true.
I mean that's my jam. So you're gonna see a lot of that stuff happening.
That's true. That's true. All right, well, good one. Good choice there. Well, let's go ahead and stick with chip theory because my number 18 is brand new to the list, and there's only one new game that they've made that could warrant being new, and that is Burn Cycle.
There you go.
Burn Cycle is absolutely fantastic. Night and day difference here between Cloudspire and this one. Really, this one and any of their other games. Like a true 9-day difference is this one to Hoplomachus.
Yeah.
But it's such a breath of fresh air because there's not enough heist games. Like there's a few heist theme games, but this one I feel just kind of just allows for that air of like espionage and coming in and just trying to figure out how enemies are going to move, what's their pattern, what are they going to do, okay, how are we going to get in, what terminals are we going to hack, that's going to, like, you go in and hack and that's like you can be like, okay, and all the doors are unlocked, okay, and then you like talk to your partner and it's like, okay, they can rush in, and then if any enemy sees you, then shit hits the fan because you're not really equipped to fight. This is not a combat game, so if you're a combat driven person and you want to just kill things all the time, go play any of their other games. Not this one. But if you're fine with this is a good picture. If you're fine, I mean, yeah, there are characters and robots that can fight, but they're limited. Like it's kind of like a last resort. Okay, use my one, my one ability that allows me to kill something.
Well, and I think they're balanced super well because the couple that do fight really well are really weak in their other stuff. So,
True.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you really have to balance that because whoever you pick as your module up there too is important. It's just
Yeah.
it's good.
Yeah, there's and then they have the like the headquarters they are going into. They kind of like, it's really cool because they each have like the thing on the right next to that network board, which looks like a grid kind of thing. That's based off the company. But then, and that's just kind of be their security level as things go up. It's like, okay, well, now they're on high alert. And then as it goes higher and higher, it becomes a lot more difficult. And you actually can just lose whenever that hits that's your timer. But then also, there's like so many different objectives depending on who you're going after.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the replayability of this game. Because originally I was thinking, oh, every building layout is the same. You go and do this corporation, well, their floor 1, 2, and 3 is always going to be the same layout. And I thought that was going to be extremely boring. But based off the objectives, they're extremely creative that you don't really mind. You tackle each objective differently, even though the layout is the same. So I was very pleased that they announced an expansion that added more corporations, of course, because that's where the true replayability is going to come from. But then obviously more robots, which they're all double-sided. So they have their player where you are the player, but then they have their damn it, what do you call them?
Command module.
Yeah, you have the command module. So that just adds to a lot more replayability. And yeah, I'm hoping this one takes off and they support this one like they do Too Many Bones, because I know they're done with Too Many Bones after that Undertow Unbreakable expansion. So now they got to find something else to love, and maybe Cloudspire gets some of it, and this, and not Hoplomachus.
Elder Sign. They're not Elder Sign.
Oh yeah, Elder Scrolls.
Elder Scrolls is coming out, and it's supposed to be like, people are calling it Too Many Bones 2.0.
Oh, really?
It uses a lot of the battle mechanics of Too Many Bones.
Gotcha.
So it's like a extension of the Too Many Bones deal. That's probably why they quit Too Many Bones, since they got that IP.
Yeah, I mean, that I'm very excited for, because Chip Theory, even though Hoplomachus wasn't like my kind of game, I still think that they're just great. They know how to do do games, and since it's not fucking Skyrim, it's
Yep.
Elder Scrolls. It's like, yay! Oh man, I can actually get it into the world again. So yeah, definitely love Burn Cycle. So that's my number 18.
We might talk about this later. We'll see.
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure you hate this game.
All right. My number 18 is a game that you've already talked about, I believe, on the last list, maybe. And it is one of my, well, I guess I should make sure. It is, I guess it's probably my highest pure deck builder.
Okay.
We've played a bunch of it over the last year to a couple of years.
Okay.
So that probably gives you a hint. This incorporates all of the expansions and everything in that world, and that is Aeon's End.
Oh, okay.
Whether it's
Okay.
Legacy of Gravehold, all
Yes,
the
I
stuff.
talked about this last segment.
Yeah, I thought it hadn't been too awful long ago, but this one is just nuts. I mean, there's so much crap for this game right now, with more
Yeah.
on the way because the Kickstarter is getting ready to deliver here probably in the next couple weeks.
I at least got mine. Yay.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
I
yeah.
opened it up.
You actually got it before me because you got Astral
Because I
Knights.
got Astro Knights, which I've played. I've played Astro Knights as well.
Yeah, yeah. But so this one's just there's so many options. There's so many mages at this point, and so many of the nameless now that it's just bonkers.
Yeah.
And they're super creative. I mean, they're not all hits, and I haven't played all of them yet. But just doing all the stuff we have played, there's been a few of the nameless that are just aren't good. But I mean, you're
Yeah.
gonna have hit and misses when you have that many.
Yeah. And the thing is I don't think that they're like designed badly.
No,
They're just not our style of, like, I don't want to fight this monster because I hate what he does, but it's like what he does is good.
right. Well, that one that kept spamming out all the bugs and stuff constantly, and
Yeah.
it fill up our board and everything. It was just kind of
Or the one that makes you swap decks.
Oh God, that one pissed me off. That one's like the worst one ever.
It was bad. That one was ass.
But yeah, so this one, just goes along with everything you said on the last segment. It's the replayability is crazy when you make your market, and there's so many different crystals and powers and everything that you can make that market out of. I mean, it's infinitely replayable. And
yeah,
again, what makes this different from a lot of deck builders is how you don't shuffle your discard deck. So you have to be strategic in how you're placing the cards in your discard, because then when it's time to shuffle, even though you don't shuffle, you just pick up that deck, turn it over face down.
Brilliant.
So there,
it's brilliant. Like,
just such a simple mechanic, and it makes it stand out from everything else and adds some strategy to your stuff too.
Astro Knights obviously does the same thing, and it's amazing. It just works so well. It's such a cool extra thing of thought. Gives you agency because the game is brutal. It's so hard that if it stayed the way it was and you had to shuffle your deck, it'd be impossible. You would just be RNG the entire time and be like, man, I hope I get my cards. But nope, for a fact, okay, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, shit. All right, well, I drew my 5. That card I just bought is not in there. It has to be the next one. So
and that's just the thing with that, is just having that knowledge of all that. And I mean, we've played so many games of this over the years, because you introduced this to me a handful of years ago, and that we've never really had a blowout on our side. If we've won, it's been tight.
Yeah.
And
yeah. I mean, well, unless it's like Aeon's and Legacy, and it's like the earlier fights. But yeah, I think if it's a blowout, it's mainly because it's almost scripted to be that way.
Right.
But yeah, it's so good. I opened up the past and future box, and it's 2 mini campaigns.
Okay.
Like, cool. I thought it was just more content, but nope, it's like the other ones where, hey, pick kind of like what they did with the Legacy of Gravehold. Hey, pick your whichever one you want to do. It doesn't matter. You can do the past, which is like thousands of years before when they were
Gotcha.
like super tech heavy, and then the future is thousands of years after. And I'm like, oh, that's really cool. So very excited to see what story those brings this game. If you're looking for a very awesome narration game, this is not it.
No,
I think
no.
I think
Yeah.
the writing is serviceable. It's a cool world, but they're not winning any awards for their writing.
Right. Yep.
Like
So
it's
that's
not
my
like
18. Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say it's not like Sleeping Gods or Tainted Grail or Oathsworn levels of writing, but
Gotcha.
it's good. It's fine.
Yep. Yep. So that's my 18.
Neat. My number 17. This is one of the ones that fell. Only a couple spots. It was 15 last year, fell 2 spots, and 26 the year before. I need to figure out honestly a kind of a better way on how I want to do this, because this is kind of a cheat here because I'm including everything that kind of has this name on it. And for the most part that works, but I might have to start thinking about excluding some games to kind of put this in a more accurate position.
Gotcha.
So my number 17 is all the pandemics.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
And when I do that, it's amazing. Like the Pandemic Legacies, 1, 2, and 0 are phenomenal. They're amazing experiences. And I have gone through season 1 multiple times, and it's always a blast. Even though, yeah, I know the story beats, it's still fun to see how the game unfolds, how different decisions, will create kind of a different experience. So the legacy games are amazing. And then I think, base pandemic, I would probably never play again, just core game, but with all of its expansions, just for base, they're
Right.
amazing. In the Lab, On the Brink, and State of Emergency, I think are phenomenal expansions for a game. And then you go even further into like where they were kind of branching off. Pandemic Iberia is like my personal favorite of just pure pandemic. And then Reign of Cthulhu is amazing. Then not Rising Tide. Rising Tide is dog shit. It's so bad. Fuck. Fall of Rome. Fall of Rome is kind of like, there was a game you were talking about. Oh, Defenders of the Realm. I was talking about how Fall of Rome is probably the
Right.
closest pandemic game. That's kind of to how that plays. It's really good. But that's whenever they started really going out of their way, where it's like, is this even pandemic anymore? And now they're like World of Warcraft, Star Wars Clone Wars. It's like, oh, cool. Is this a new game? And then they're like, pandemic. Little tiny. It's like pandemic. So it's like, okay, whatever, you're just using that fucking name to sell copies.
Right.
But yeah, like Rising Tide really is the only one I think is objectively bad. I even like the real-time one, like Rapid Response. I think that's cool. I don't think it's a pandemic game, but it's fun. I enjoyed it. So if you're not familiar with Pandemic, fully cooperative game where you are curing diseases, going around the board, trying to stop outbreaks using cards, multi-use cards that allow you to travel. You need to collect a set of 5 to then find a cure for it. Once you cure all 4 diseases, then you win. And I still think to this day the infection deck, how they do that is genius. If they didn't have that, I don't think this game would be as popular as it was. But giving you that ebb and flow of stress to being able to deal with it is good, instead of just a constant barrage of shit. It's like you're able to kind of count cards and be like, okay, well, we know Deli's in the deck, and like we haven't drawn it yet, so what can we do to mitigate that? I just think that allows for a really solid co-op experience. So yeah, I mean, what can you say about Pandemic that hasn't been said multiple times? So there's just so much out there. If you're tired of base Pandemic, I cannot recommend the legacy games enough, and I would recommend playing them in the order they came out, with 1, 2, and 0. But 0 is by far the best one. It's the only one I've made a shadow box of. So that's
Awesome.
my number 17. Every pandemic.
All right. So my number 17 is a game that's been on my list for quite a while, and it's hovered right around this area. It's been like, well, it was a top 10 4 years ago. It was number 9. But it was 19, 22 last year, 17 this year. So it's kind of hovered. So it went up 5. And I think the reason it went up those 5 this time is because I got all the rest of the expansion content that I've kind of messed around with, gotten it to the table a little bit more.
Okay.
I bought it from you, all the expansion content. So you
probably. Oh, well, you're welcome.
Yeah.
That's what I do. So is your top 100 eventually just going to be games that I recommended to you and you realize that I'm amazing?
No.
Because so far, I think that's what this segment has been. It's every
this
game.
One maybe. Yeah. The next set, I think I actually showed you some of them.
Oh, okay.
So yeah. So anyway.
Good deal.
Yeah. So it is. Well, here we go. Fire Team 0.
You showed this to me.
Yeah, see, I showed this to you. I just got all the expansion.
You just got all the stuff from me.
Expansion stuff from you.
Yeah.
Actually, I bought the whole Kickstarter from you and then sold all the rest that I already had.
That's right.
But anyway, yeah, this game is one of those that the company's not around anymore. So it's kind of hard to find at this point. And I don't know if it's like elevated in price or not. I haven't really looked for it at all, but I think it is. But this is a cooperative game. I play it solo. You know how cooperative games are. But this is an alternate reality World War II setting where you are running with 4 members. Fire Team 0 is what they're called. And hell has broken loose, literally. They're coming up from the ground. They're doing all this stuff. And you are running through different scenarios that you can kind of go together to make kind of a loose campaign that you can play through with it. The opening scenario is just stupid hard. Like I played that so many times, with other people and with myself, couldn't beat it. And of course, then when Cat came over and you guys came over, you guys beat it. So
yep.
But so on this game, it's terrain is so crazy because like terrain slows you down, but it doesn't slow the monsters down. So they're on top of you when they spawn, no time flat. And the cards are really cool because and this is always something good in games is having multi-use cards, because if you see down here at the bottom, the cards kind of split in half. And so the top part is your offensive use of it. If you use it on your turn, there's also retaliates and stuff on the bottom that you can use on other people's turns to kind of help out, do different stuff, buff them, do different things. But you have to be careful because you only draw cards at this one certain phase of the game, and cards are your life. So your hand is your life, I guess is what I would say. So when you draw up, you're okay. But if you're spending cards to attack or help other people, you're weakening yourself in the long run. And you're just playing through these different scenarios. I think there's like 4 scenarios per little mini campaign. So, and it leads into another story. And you generally will do that with a certain monster family, because all these different monster families have come out with the game that you can use interchangeably if you want. And as they progress up this track right here, the further up the track they go, then they get more buffs to the monsters. They become more deadly as well, which sucks. It also has the mechanic that take it or leave it, but it has the metal coin. If it's heads up, if you die per se or get knocked out, then that coin flips to tails. And then if somebody else gets knocked down, then the game's over. There's that one card that pops up every now and again, though, that says, flip the coin. So that could be a benefit and it could be bad, because if that card comes up and it's face down, then it helps you, so it's kind of a back and forth. But anyway, there's different campaigns for this. There's the Africa cycle, the Europe cycle. So there's all these different stages in the country that you can play through this at. It's too late to the party to get on there, but I downloaded all the MP3 files that they had from their website before website went away. And so it actually reads like in the whole, World War II radio, CD radio kind of stuff and everything. it's just a really cool, and the miniatures are really nice. Not not CMON quality with their heads, but they're good enough for what they're used
Yeah.
for. And there's just so much variety with this game and everything that this is just a really fun, tense experience to play.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. The only reason I got rid of it was because I mean, I know you obviously, so it wasn't that big of a deal if I didn't own it. Um, but yeah, this one is a lot of fun. Very, very Cthulhu-esque, but really cool, really cool setting.
Yep.
Okay,
So
my
17.
num my number 16 rose 6 spots. It was number 22 last year, and the year before that it was 33. And this isn't really due to the expansion, but it is a second edition, and that didn't really help either, just because it was still pretty much the same game. But I have actually played this quite a bit. I've played the solo for it also, which is amazing. And I've actually played kind of a God, it's like I don't know what you would call it. It is a sequel, but it is its own game. But yeah, my number 16 is Great Western Trail, which this is the second edition artwork.
Yes.
And then I have played Great Western Trail Argentina, which is also very good, if not basically the same game.
Really.
Just kind of a different theme. It does have some different stuff, but it's like, yep, this is Great Western Trail. Just in, I think, oh God, it's in Argentina. And yeah, this is Alexander Fister's best game for me. Yeah, this is the highest game of his that I have, and it's just so good. You are wrangling cattle, just trying to take them to in the base game, taking them to Kansas City, and you want to have it's like a small deck builder where you want to have different sets of cows, so different types to be able to sell, gain more money, and then you're just going further along a track, which apparently is just trash. I mean, going up tracks is just the worst gaming mechanism I've ever heard, according to Dune Imperium fans. But I'll never let that go. And so yeah, so you're moving around this. It's essentially a rondel, going to various locations and either just doing different location actions, selling cattle to get some quick money, to then go to a different location to buy different types of cattle. And this is going to give you a lot more variety whenever you do go sell, because you want, like I said, diversity, but you also want higher like value cows. So whenever they're in your hand, you can have like a 5, a 4, a 3, and a 3, and then increase your hand size so that whenever you do sell, you can go all the way to the end, which is New York, which is like victory points. Um, Tons of ways to get them, though. That's just one thing that you do in the game. You can get victory points by going up on the train track. You get victory points for having a bunch of cows. You can get victory points for having a bunch of different types of buildings. There's a lot that's going on in this game, but yet I think at its core, it's extremely clean. And I don't know what people are saying. I know art's subjective, but there has to be some objectivity. The first edition of this game looked like dog shit. It's so bad. And everyone's like, I don't like this. I'm like, this looks like traditional Western style art. It is amazing. Um, Also less controversial because you're not like killing Native Americans. It's like, hey, no, it's bandits now, and it's like, okay, yeah, that makes me feel a little bit better.
So,
Uh,
hey, really quick. So, let's
so
say somebody listening has the first edition. Is it
right,
worth spending the $60 to get the new one?
yes,
Okay. I didn't.
one.
I never played the original. I played this one and never played the first one to know what the differences were.
um just in terms of like production quality, like as far as I could tell, I actually don't think that they balanced anything. So I just think for an overhaul look and a production look, then yes, but
Okay,
it's not like if you're getting the second edition that he like went out of his way to make the game play any different.
gotcha.
But it also allows for, I mean, you want to have the updated game in case there's support.
Mhm.
Um, so And it is part of a new trilogy. So it's this one, Great Western Trail Argentina, and then the Great Western Trail New Zealand is going to be coming out this year, which that one is actually about sheep. So it is probably way different from the other two. Now the real question is, should you own this in Argentina? And that I don't know, because they are very, very close, but I do think Argentina adds a little bit more that I like. Like everything it added, I enjoy. So I don't know. That's a very hard one.
Gotcha.
But yeah, this is kind of like Alexander Pfister's magnum opus. I believe I know it wasn't his first game, but this is probably the game that kept him as a designer to keep an eye on for every game he's made. And clearly, based off of this, I have had well, hold on. Yep, for last year I also had Great Western Trail above Maracaibo, and this year I did as well. And then 2020 I also had Great Western Trail above Maracaibo. So that for 3 years of data, I can now definitively say I do like this game more than Maracaibo, but they're always very close in terms of listing.
Yeah, this was my 94, and it's because I was later to this. Like, this was the last of the Fister games that I own that I played.
Yeah.
Because Maracaibo, and then Maracaibo was in the middle, and then Boone Lake was my highest so far.
Yeah, that's right. Boone Lake, I think, was like way early on my list. Yeah, it was like in the 80s.
Yeah.
But so yeah, this one is extremely good. I love it. And the theme is nice. Like, I mean, obviously I'm not a yee cowboy kind of guy, but it's fun. It's fun. I enjoy it. It's a good time.
All right. Well, my number 16 rose 2 spots, and I don't know necessarily why. Because
probably because other games fell.
Well,
like a lot.
Well, I mean, where it's always been a top 30 game for me over the last couple of years, I just haven't played it. Like, there's an expansion coming on Kickstarter that has been on. We did this Kickstarter forever ago as an expansion, and it still hasn't shown up. So I expected this to fall a little ways just because it hasn't hit the table. But
well, let me guess. What Kickstarter has taken forever to come out and hasn't delivered? Oh, there's just so many. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's this one for sure.
Yep. So I love this game, anyway, but I'm just chomping at the bit for Endbringer to get here so I can start playing it cooperative/solo style, because it just doesn't hit the table because it's a 1v1 game that, I mean, I know we've talked about doing that tournament and stuff that we haven't started yet. Yeah. But it just hasn't hit the table forever, which is not a bad thing necessarily, because the year this game released, when I was playtesting for Wise Wizard, not playtesting, demoing, I played so many damn games of this at Origins that I was kind of sick of it for a while after that.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, but it's still just such an awesome game with the dark art, and stuff, and the art's what puts it over the edge, for me, just because of the realistic, kind of horrific, fantastical art. The other thing about this game that I really enjoy is how you're able to spend your actions doing actual useful things, which is a novel idea for deck building games like this. You can spend an action to gain more energy to be able to play that card the next time, or you can draw cards, because card draws in a deck building game is very much needed.
Yeah.
The weak point of this game, and I know you said this when we talked about this however many segments ago that you talked about.
I think every time this game is brought up,
it's the battle.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the tedious part of it, and but
where was Sorcerer for me?
I was gonna guess in the 40s, but
no, you might be right. It was in the 50s.
Okay,
barely broke into the 50s.
Yeah. So the battle part is what it is, but I mean, the card play is so good, and being able to mash those 3 decks together kind of
Mhm.
outshines that mechanic a little bit.
It does. Yeah, it's like it's yeah, I mean, you're right. It's like it's serviceable, like the combat, but at the same time it's kind of like it's so fucking lazy. It's like you put all this effort into this awesome card play, you couldn't come up with a battle system, like a combat system to
Yeah.
this game could be like, I mean, I still love it. It's a 9 or 10 out of 10. No, I think I gave it a 9 because the combat is just rolling dice. At
Mhm.
least they give you mitigation, but it's like that's it. Like there's not even card effects that go off of battle because it can't because it's off of die rolls.
Yeah. And this is just I like the how you I mean there's so many possibilities, that you're shoving a domain, a wizard, a sorcerer, a domain, and a lineage deck together and creating an entirely unique deck, and yeah, there's going to be some that are stronger than others. I mean, we're going to find that out in that tournament when you put that stuff together. There's
Yeah.
that time you and me played against each other a couple years ago. Your werewolf clan just beat the living shit out of my guys because that's
What
just
can
how
I
it went.
say?
Well, I mean,
What
it's
can I say?
that when you have that many
Nope.
decks,
It was gameplay.
and I think that's one of the reasons that they're taking so long on Endbringer because it was getting close to being printed, and then they went all the way back and started re evaluating their
Hmm.
stuff and rebalancing and everything. I think they're trying to make it more, you know,
Yeah.
and plus this was the game that kind of forced them into their new little Kickstarter strategy of
Which I
uh,
mean, it works. I mean, Hero Realms and all that came out, not Hero Realms, Star Realms, all that stuff came out, and I think
yeah.
that expansion or that Kickstarter was put out after Endbringer.
Hmm. Yeah, so I mean, and I like the little player board. I mean, it runs the step by step of each turn down really well.
Hmm.
It's super easy to just drop there and play, and it's just a great experience overall.
Yeah, yeah, I
And when
agree.
Endbreaker finally makes it, then it'll be even better, I think.
Hopefully,
Yeah.
hopefully, but we shall see. Okay. My number 15 is sticking with kind of the theme of Euros. This one is the highest, yep, the highest T game on the list, and it's not even really close, even though I love all the T games that I've played. I haven't played Trismegistus or Zolkin, but I've heard Trismegistus is bad, and I just haven't played Zolkin. So this is clearly well, it's clearly something. I think
Oh, you were wanting me to do it? Sorry.
yeah, I'm like it's
Sorry.
something. It's the
I
Teotihuacan.
didn't catch your verbal cue.
It was there. I thought you froze. I was
No,
like,
no, no, no.
okay, because you were like,
Well, you usually say, and that is, and I flip it
yeah,
over, and that's why I
yeah.
threw it off.
Teotihuacan City of Gods, which is also getting a deluxe edition, apparently, which is very cool because I know for a fact they're going to have a pledge that is just the upgraded stuff.
That's
So if you
cool.
have everything for it, you can just get that, which is like the deluxe box and components. And I'm like, yay! I don't have to like rebuy everything. I think companies need to take a fucking page out of their book and start doing that. Teotihuacan is amazing. This is kind of what these games, these T games, and the Garfield games and the Fister games, those are the Euros I want to play now. Like they give me just as much strategy without having to just feel like it's a fucking chore. I mean, this looks like a lot, and it is, but um, like this year, I got rid of all my Vita Lasarda games, which are masterpieces, but these like I can just play Teotihuacan and get a different experience every time, especially because they have a bunch of expansions that are really, really good. So this is a dice worker placement game where you are it's like a rondel dice worker placement game. You're traveling around the board and gathering resources like every euro that allow you to either buy technologies or build the pyramid in the middle, go up on various tracks, level up your dice so they can die and then go into a temple of whatever, which is another way of gaining victory points. this just has so many tracks to go up, like the three tracks, the yellow, green, and blue tracks, which just offer different resources as you go up. Kind of has set collection in there. If you can get various masks and just those little rectangle cardboard things, those are different abilities that you can use. It also utilizes what's something that I enjoy, where it's like, okay, you have cocoa, that's kind of what you use to feed your people, but then you just have to manage the other resources depending on which strategy you want to go down. One of the expansions includes player powers, and it's really neat because the player powers are really good, but every single one of them also has a negative condition, which I think is something that's not done a whole lot. Usually it's just, hey, here's a big buff you get. Which is awesome, but I kind of like that double-edged sword of like, ooh, I can build the pyramid for free. Oh, but every other thing is like double the resources or something like that. Like, so you kind of have to have that balance. And then there's an area control element, and it's all modular, which is the best kind of expansion. So you can pick and choose what expansions you want to put into your game. Yeah, I also really love the way that this game looks. All kind of T games, I think, do a really good job with their art and board presentation. And yeah, this is, I think, if you count Zolkin, which I don't know, maybe it's just kind of been adopted into the T series, because I don't think it was considered one until, I don't even think the T series was a thing until they started releasing the same game. It's like Teotihuacan. Okay, yeah. Oh, Tekenu. All right. Tawantinsuyu. Oh, so you're just doing that, huh? Just finding.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess you made Zolkin, so let's throw that in. So yeah. Oh, this was also 21 or 36 last year, so it rose 21 spots.
Gotcha.
And in 2020 it was 45. So rose quite a bit, just because I mean, I have played it recently, and every time I play it, it's never dipped. It's been like 10 out of 10. So I'm like, well, why isn't this higher? And it is now.
I need to play it. I've played this game once,
Okay.
and I need to play it more because I did enjoy it. I just never got it back to the table. Plus, I only just have the base game, and I want to get that first expansion that gives you the player powers and stuff.
The first expansion, so Teotihuacan, the late pre-classic period is the one that adds the individual player powers, and then the expansion period is also adds, like, it adds obsidian, which is a wild resource, and then like, what's kind of cool is, like, in between those boards where the dice go on, they have like altars, and then they have a new worker that can go in there, and it can, like, you have like a spot you can place like a shaman on it, and it like doubles the output of whatever it's facing. It's a really neat module, and it just adds more player powers and just more stuff. So both of those expansions are fantastic. The Shadows of Zittle, I think is what it was called. That was like a tiny expansion that I thought didn't really do anything, so you don't have to go out of your way to get that. So the two big box ones are fantastic.
Now, solo mode on this.
Have not tried it.
Okay.
It's actually, funny enough, the only T one I have not tried, so I should do that. Should at least get it on the channel, because I've tried it for Tekenu, Tawantinsuyu. So yeah, unfortunately, I can't give you any insight on that one.
Okay. No, that's fine. I just thought I'd ask.
Yeah. That's my number 15, Teotihuacan.
All right, my number 15 is so far. This is the last. So this is my sixth game on this list, and these have all risen, and then the rest of them will kind of start dipping a little bit. So this is the last one that rose on this list. It actually jumped a decent amount. It was 48 last year. It went up to 15. I don't know if you've talked about this game. I think you did a section or two ago. This is the best version of this IP game that FFG has put out. Even though I played the one versus many style, and then I played the other one with the app, and it was so. This one, though, is kind of their best version, and there's an Act 2 going to be coming out sometime soon that they announced, and that is Descent Legends of the Dark. This
When
one,
did I talk? When did I
this
talk
one,
about this one?
I'm eating a lot of crow on this one because I remember when this game was announced, we were doing a video a few years ago,
Hmm.
and I bashed this damn thing. The art of this game, I bashed the price of this game. I everything about it. I was just like, nope, I'm never gonna own this game.
Yep.
Stupid. And
And here I am recommending it because I was like, hey, it's
well,
actually
it's still expensive as hell. But if you buy it from, because I
yes.
think there's $180 MSRP for this, but I got it. You go to miniature market, it's like 135 or something like that is what it
Hmm.
was. So I took the dip on it, and I'm glad I did because the art grows on you once you get it to the
It
table
does,
actually, and you're
right?
paying.
Yeah.
Except for the one lady with her. I got it right here with the stupid helmet
Oh,
that goes out with the wingspan of like 5 feet.
look. Yeah, her helicopter helmet. Look,
Yeah.
whenever you're in the midst of battle swarmed by enemies and you have to turn to like face them, you're gonna want that helmet.
Yeah, then your
You're gonna be
teammates are going to get
decapitated.
clocked too. Your teammates go, God damn it!
Bryn, God, get a new helmet.
But what this game did really cool is it has a really neat app setup, and I wish they could have done the app a little bit more with because there's a lot of reading with this.
There is, yeah.
I wish they would have done a little bit more with
It
it
needed to
with
be
that.
fully voice acted.
Yeah,
Like
which
one
maybe Act
that's
Two, you never know.
maybe. Yeah.
But this one is what made this unique is it is has the 3D terrain. And
God, yeah.
when you're going through your turn, you have to take one of your actions is for maneuver, so that's your movement points. And then everything else that you do is going to be your other actions, whether it's attack or whether it's the other part that I love about this game is the where you get to interact with the 3D stuff and do like
Yeah.
an explore type thing because different stuff can happen, and and this game was a pain in the ass for me anyway. It was a pain in the ass to store everything once you put everything together and all that stuff. Even though they put that big area on the bottom of the box,
Yeah.
but they do a good job. I mean, this one is the best Descent game by far.
Yeah.
And then having even though it's cardboard cutout like that dragon up there at the top, it's cardboard cutout, but it looks fucking cool, even though it's a
Yeah.
cardboard cutout, and you put everything together. There's not a ton of miniatures really in this game.
Nope.
As you would expect an FFG game to be, even with it being $180. But yeah, Act Two has been announced. I don't know anything about it other than that. I don't know when it's even supposed to come out, but it's definitely going to be one I'm going to pick up because it's either going to be more of the same or they're going to do more with it, and that's yet to be determined. But it's just a sweet setup, and the app's done really well, and
Yeah. The
it
app
looks cool on
is
the table.
that app is like the perfect balance of gameplay to video game. It just manages. They were able to do a lot with like actual percentages and being like, okay, you have a 20% chance of inflicting enfeeble on this, and then just whenever you're getting new upgrades of your weapons, it actually will change how it looks in the app. So whenever you go
Right.
to attack, you get to see your weapon and see how and that's always cool in video games when you're like, hey, I got this new armor piece, and you equip it and it actually puts it on you. This is because there are a lot of games like board games that come out with that stuff, and it like just pulls you out of the game when you're like, okay, now I need to find that fucking guy.
Well, right.
Okay.
And there's that brings me to what I was going to say. Because like this is scenario based. Between scenarios, you can craft, shop, upgrade equipment, and all that stuff. But that's all done so seamlessly. Like think about like when you do it between scenarios in like Gloomhaven or stuff like that. There's a lot of stuff, or most other adventure games. They even though there's not that reading of all that dialogue or all that stuff in the app, it's a really good app for the other purposes.
Yeah.
So whether they decide to add that in Act Two, more reading of it, or just leave it be, I don't know.
Yeah, I will say the price point, even though I do love this game and I'm actually almost done with my campaign of it, I still can't justify it like at full price because of it's like, okay, $180. Like, yeah, it's 3D pieces, but it's still not a lot of physical stuff. Okay, sure, you pay for the app and the app is really good. But like you couldn't do foreteller, you couldn't do, I mean, you have your own app, you couldn't do full voice acting. Like
Yeah.
I'd pay $180 if it was full voice acted. I didn't, obviously, but that is a huge missed opportunity. So who knows, maybe with Act 2, and if Act 2 does really well, then it's not impossible for them to do full voice act and just put out an update for Act 1.
Yeah.
So
I
here's
agree.
hoping, but yeah, this is a blast. Like it's so much fun.
Yes. Love it.
All right, my number 14. You talked about, I think on the last segment. This rose 11 spots for me. So it was 25 last year, and it was 23 in 2020. And funny enough, we're just kind of in pairs on this segment because this is another Fantasy Flight game, also story-driven, scenario-based game, in a theme that is just near and dear to my heart, and that is Mansions of Madness. Had to really give you the cue.
I said that last segment. It was 29.
Yep, that's right. Okay. So Mansions of Madness is a fully cooperative game that has, like, I think I counted it last time. It's like 20 something scenarios with multiple different endings. So I think that's like a good, bad, and neutral ending. So 60 overall outcomes per like just the overall game. But you pick a scenario and a person and go in and try and just solve the case as you're being attacked by monsters and uh dealing with clues and just getting really engrossed in the world of like HP Lovecraft. And that is just something that I will never get tired of as long as they basically keep making it. Like I'm not like a shill where I just enjoy Lovecraft games just for the sake of it being Lovecraft, but if it's like story integrated, then I'm basically going to be all for it. And it's just really really cool that you just go in. It's like, I mean, it is kind of procedural where even if you do the same scenario, the items are going to be different, the monsters are going to be different because I have everything for it, and like your injuries that you're going to get are going to be different. So it's just extremely immersive with the soundtrack and the sound effects. See, here is where they had voice acting and they had sound effects,
Yep.
and that's not in Descent. But yeah, I mean, really the only negative is I actually completely hate the miniatures for the monsters in this game. I hate that black whatever tile with the
Yeah.
thing, and it's like I'd honestly rather just have the just the cardboard piece. It's that much quicker just to pop it out and you get to see the full artwork. So there's I mean, this is really just kind of one of those games that you're gonna go in. It's a slight whodunit. Depending on which scenario, it could be a full whodunit. It could be a full army of the I was gonna say undead, the deep ones that are just
Yes.
attacking you. It's really just whatever you're feeling for the time that pulls you outside of the mansion. You're in the city, you could be in the city, you could be, I think one of the expansions is you're in like a plane, is one of the newer ones. I wish Fantasy Flight would come out and like verbally say, hey, we're done supporting this. That would be
Mhm.
nice. So people are kind of like, oh, are they still doing stuff? Because who knows? I would put money down saying they will eventually do a third edition.
That would
Like
suck, man. Suck.
like I mean, because they did it for Arkham Horror. They did a
Yeah.
third edition for that, and it was bad. Third edition is, I liked it whenever I first played it, but as I played that more and more, I was like, this is bad.
Well, it
If
used to
not,
be.
if
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, if not a third edition for this, they're probably gonna redo Eldritch Horror.
I could see him
Like,
redoing that before this. There's just so much with the
yeah,
app, all that stuff. I could see him redoing like an Eldritch
yeah.
before.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah,
There,
I mean,
this.
go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say that this is one that would be difficult to totally rehash, I think.
Yeah.
just because of, like I was saying, with the app and all that stuff. I mean, you'd have to overhaul the app and as well. I don't know if they really want to do that. This company, we used to be able to kind of predict what Fantasy Flight would go do
Hmm.
now, and they've changed so much in just like the last
Yeah.
10 years,
You
or
know it's going to be
even
IP
6 years.
driven. Like that's what
Well,
we can guess. Like
yeah,
this is I think Descent is like their only original like game now that they have like their only original IP, because the rest is
yeah,
Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, or Cthulhu,
yep.
which is nothing wrong with either of those. All the games they make for it is great, but yeah, I don't know. I think they're leaving a lot out still for Mansions of Madness, even though there's still a bunch, or there's a bunch for the game. I I do think that it's there, but who knows? This is still an amazing experience. Everyone I've played it with has always loved it, and it was enough that a friend of mine bought everything for it because he just loves getting into it as well. So that's
Yep.
my number 14.
All right, so my number 14 is a game that has slipped just a little bit, and it's just because I haven't really gotten it to the table a whole lot. It was my number 2 4 years ago, then 6, then 12 last year, fell down to 14 this year. Um,
Okay.
it is the biggest game that I own. Um, and it's just one of those games. It's just
Is this one you won't let me play?
it's not that I won't let you play. I'm not gonna get a damn U-Haul truck to bring it up to you. um, but this game is my favorite game by Flying Frog. And I have everything for it. Well, I shouldn't say everything, because they're constantly putting out little like decks of cards and stuff for it and everything. But as far
Yeah.
as miniatures go, I have everything for it. And I'm waiting on the extra stuff that Kickstarter from 3.5 years ago or whatever that still hasn't delivered. And that is, where's my mouse? Where's my mouse? Sorry. It's going to be
A game.
Shadows of
Oh,
Brimstone.
there it is.
My mouse fell asleep. But anyway, yeah, Shadows of Brimstone. This is the City of Ancients box, but they have the swamps, swamps, and Forbidden Fortress, the Asian themed one, are the core boxes, and they have tons and tons of other content. This game, I spent thousands and thousands on this game. I have shelves and shelves full of miniatures and tiles and counters and everything for it. But this is one of those ones I played a friend's copy of it first. We started a deal, and I automatically fell in love with it. That was before the second Kickstarter came out, so I did that Kickstarter. But
Okay.
I had to go back and buy all the original stuff, which is what set me back so much.
Right.
But in this, it's just a hot mess of themes and all this stuff, because it starts off the way I like to play it. You're in the West, Wild West, Western times, and then you are going into these different caves and stuff, fighting off horror, and but then there's also portals within those caverns that could send you. I mean, you could go onto a damn derelict ship out in outer space in the future and fight zombie astronauts, or you can go to another planet that's kind of like Asgard, and all this different stuff. Or there's
Dang.
swamp lands. There's just tons of different places to go to, and then the monsters, the big beastie monsters that you can fight they're huge miniatures, that are the epic encounters that you come across. It's easy. This is one of those ice checker games where you are when you go through, I mean, you could be swarmed. This picture doesn't show it, but it's not uncommon to be like, you have two miniatures here in the middle, and then you're like, every square around you is just completely surrounded with stuff. This is it's pretty much an RPG style game. I mean, you have a role-playing sheet that you keep track of, that they don't actually put any in the game. They have all these printable ones out there to fit how you want to keep track of your stuff. But there's all these different characters throughout all the years of this game happening that you can choose from, all themed very well. It's a dice chucker. You're rolling fistfuls of dice. At the end of each turn, you're supposed to roll that yellow die that's over here is you're trying to fight back the darkness because there's a darkness
Oh
track.
yeah.
You had a track that you're trying to, if you have to roll a certain number to keep that from falling down, because if that gets down to the end, then you're lost to the darkness and you die. I mean, there's so much to this game. Between scenarios you can choose to go to. If you have the expansion for the frontier town, you can go to the frontier town, and there's all these different uh things that happen in there. There's stuff that happens when you're on the road from one place to another. There's all these road events that you're supposed to roll dice for and everything. You get mutations. So
Have
like,
they? I was gonna say, have they combined their worlds? Like, can you go into a Touch of Evil? I just saw the Touch of Evil like ad on
no,
the box.
no,
Okay,
not
they
that
didn't
I've
get
ever
that meta where it's like
no,
you can go into a portal. It's like, hey, now play a Touch of Evil.
no, not yet. We'll see. But yeah, you get mutations on this, which is could be a good or a bad thing because you gain dark stone throughout the deal, and you have to roll for these checks. And there's certain things that make you have you corruption, which eventually will make you everything's on charts, I guess is the easy
Yeah.
way to say it. So the mutation chart, you're going to roll these two dice, and you may have a third arm, or you may have horns that grow. You may have a tail. If you have horns, you can't equip a hat type deal. Or my character that I have going on my long campaign with the Chads is I have another human that's grown out of my torso, kind of like Total Recall, and I've bought a little gun for him. So I have like a little person coming out of my stomach that has guns
Because
and
you have
stuff.
to keep track. Like, if I remember right, you actually had to keep notes of all the stuff.
Oh yeah,
Like
yep,
it was
yep,
an RPG.
yep.
Did they ever make like actual character sheets for that?
No,
Or
they none that came in the box. There's all these
okay,
links to them, so you can kind of choose what you're used to for role playing game
I
players.
see.
There's certain different ways and stuff,
Cool.
but there's just so
Your
damn much
little
with this
character
game.
can hold a gun.
Yeah, you can. I bought a gun at the town for him, and
That's fun.
yeah, and then there's some things that you can get that hurt you really bad, and then you can go to a back alley doctor in the frontier town and try to roll to see if they fix your
Okay,
mutation, take care of it and stuff.
can you cut my twin's head off? I don't want this anymore. It's like
Well,
he's talking. Is he actually alive? Yeah, he's sentient, but he's kind of in the way. I can't wear shirts anymore, so please kill him.
yeah. Well, and I'm like, I have rock skin.
Oh
It's
yeah,
like rock scaled skin. So like my defense is higher, but I move slower. So it's a roll move
gotcha.
game. So I'm moving slower anyways. There's just so much with this game. You can spin out and go any direction you
Yeah,
want.
Brad,
And
let me put something into perspective for you.
yes.
At the time of this recording, over the weekend, I went to a friend's house 3 hours away. I
Yep.
hauled Massive Darkness 2,
Yeah.
all my three things of Marvel Champions, my two
Yeah.
things of Epic Spell Wars, and everything for Black Rose Wars.
Yeah.
And you're bitching about one game because you
I'm
just hate
telling
me
you.
that much.
No, I have.
I've seen your stuff. I've been down there. It's
There's
not that
so
bad.
much. There's so much. Like
It'd be the one game.
I have four totes that are just tiles.
They're totes though. They have
Well, I
handles on
know.
them, right?
It's just
Just
nuts.
get yourself a workout. Just this like it'd be higher. It wouldn't be a dog shit 14 if you played it with me.
Yeah,
Go
I
back to
mean,
number 2.
I honestly haven't played my stuff very much. I usually, because we
Yeah.
have that campaign going over at Chad's that I generally will play if we play it. We haven't played it
Yeah.
for a while. So anyway, that's my 14 Shadows of Brimstone. I suggest don't go and buy everything. Just get one core and go from there because it's a money
Well,
sink.
yeah. All right. My number 13, this is the only other one. Actually, sorry, I guess this War of Mine and Pandemic fell, but this is the other one that fell last year. It was number 4. So it fell 9 spots, and in 2020, it was my number 1. So it has fallen out of my top 10. And this is mainly because I have played this game so much, and my rating of this has not changed. It's still a 10 out of 10. I love it. I also just haven't played it in quite some time, but it's so phenomenal. And by this point, they've actually released kind of like a sequel to it, which I did pre-order because I have to. And so my number 13 is Scythe.
Oh, yes.
Um, Scythe is basically Stone Meyer's. Well, that's not true. Wingspan is their like magnum opus, but Scythe is their big game that just is exquisite to look at. I will never get over this box cover and the art that's in the game. It's magnificent. And it's area control worker placement game in the sense that you're not really fighting. You don't really want to, except in very specific situations, but you're trying to complete objectives and be the first one to meet 6 objectives to get all 6 of your stars out, because that will end the game. This map is actually showing one of the expansions, the Winds Gambit expansion that adds flying aircrafts. But it's just so good. You play it's like an alternate Europa kind of steampunky kind of thing, where you play a character, you have a faction that you move around, gaining resources to overall like upgrade your sheet and get mechs out on the board to assist with combat or assist with getting more resources to go up on the popularity track or the combat track. And there's like different ways that you get your stars out, either getting all 4 of your mechs out, getting all 4 of your buildings, completing an objective, winning combat, getting all your workers out. It's so hard for me to explain why this game is as good as it is, but it just hits on all levels for me. I think every expansion is awesome. The Invaders from Afar expansion just added 2 factions, which are really, really good. And then the Winds Gambit added quicker mobility, alternate combat rules, and then the Rise of Fenris expansion added a campaign that was really good. Like, if any expansion is going to give Scythe like new life, it's that one, because every chapter of that expansion adds like a new rule, like a new module, and once you're done, you can just include those modules in regular games. I have everything for this game. I even have the metal mechs for every single faction. Like, and that was definitely not cheap, but it's so awesome. I have like the big organizer for it. It's really, really good. They just announced an expansion. I think it's called Expedition.
Yeah,
It's in the same world. So I don't know anything about it. I just pre-ordered it because I had to. And so we'll see how that compares. I don't think it's going to. I don't think it's going to be like, oh, this kills Scythe or anything, but it might be nice to just kind of play something different within this universe. So yeah, I mean, it fell out barely of my top 10 just because I just have more fun playing other games. And I have played this game a lot, but every time I play it, I'm like, yep, this is perfection right here. So
yeah, this was one that I thought I would like, and for all intents and purposes, I should.
yeah,
But I don't know. It just never really hit for me. Like the first few plays I had of it, it's kind of soured me on it, and I just never really went back to it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, if someone were to just be like, hey, I've done a top 10 reasons why I love Talisman. I don't know if I can even do a top 10 reasons why I love Scythe, but there's just something about it just hits that part of my brain that I'm like, yep, this is amazing. So yeah, I don't know. It's definitely not for everyone, but it's for me.
I think it's because I went into this game expecting it to be an attack war style game, maybe, and it's not.
Nope.
So I think that's kind of one of the reasons.
And that's one of the reasons why I really like it, because it's not that. Yeah, you can fight, and I like combat. Like, it's not totally deterministic, but it's not totally random either. So combat is even nice, but it's just you have to be very tactile and when you want to do combat to minimize the negative repercussions of fighting. But yeah, you don't have to at all to win this game, because it's based off who has the most money at the end, and there's just tons of ways to just gain money.
Yep.
So yeah, that's my number 13.
All right. Well, my number 13 is a game that you cheated on this set of games. You put them together. I had put The other version of this game, the newer version of this game, was my 32. So this is still up here higher than the predecessor,
Oh, I see.
mainly because of its simplicity. And it has been right in this. I mean, it was 4 years ago, it was 7, then it was 8, 8, 13. So I mean, it's just kind of hanging right in there. And that is Role Player, the OG. Yeah. But I like adventures a lot, and it's probably going to keep creeping up.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, the simplicity of this game, just being able to set down a board, do your dice, you know. And when I say OG, I'm meaning you still need to have the monsters and minions expansion kind of with
Yeah.
this to make it not totally stale. But I just like this whole the cleverness of this design and the theme of it. Just, hey, we're gonna make a game out of building a character. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that was it. That was, and it plays really good solo. The solo aspect plays like super fast,
Yeah.
and I just like kind of the once you're done with your character, just kind of the theme that you can pull out of it,
Mm-hmm.
and just imagining how your character is going to act, which is what Adventures takes advantage of, because you
Yeah.
do this stuff and then you can pull them into the story. Um, so like I said, they're both, the Adventures is 32. This is 13. I mean, they're both in the top 50. Um, and
Yeah, mine was 28
yeah, and
because I combined them.
and just having the puzzle of trying to get your colors of your dice to match up, and your numbers of
Mm-hmm.
your dice to get that limit, and being able to pick whether your character is going to be good or bad, or vice versa, and everything. There's a lot with this, and the monsters and minions just put it over the top, being able to actually fight some things. Um, this game
This
doesn't take.
character's this character's cleric champion elf has 3 intelligence. It's like, I wonder what this person thinks about religion. It's like, oh man, if you're religious, you're an idiot.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
funny.
The set collection also, when you do the armor set
Yeah.
collection thing, this is just one of those mainstays, that uh role player adventures you're eventually going to finish,
Yeah.
and I don't necessarily really know how much replayability it's going to have.
Someone commented on one of my videos, I can't remember which one, but they mentioned how drastically different like their outcome was based off where we were currently at. So
That's cool.
it was enough for him to be like, oh yeah, none of that happened. So it's like, that's okay, cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's good. That's good to
there
know.
needs to be a lot of branching stories, but
Yeah,
yeah. No, I agree. Like eventually you'll see everything Role Player Adventures has to offer, but you won't with this.
yeah.
Um, but at the same time, it's kind of like it just depends on how much Thunderworks wants to support Role Player Adventures. Their newest expansion, the whatever Gullpax's Secret, almost feels like it's a mini expansion. Like I
Hmm.
wish that I think they need to at least do another big box or just always do like new stories. If they're gonna do smaller ones, like smaller like D&D module stuff that like Wizards of the Coast puts out, um, then they need to do a lot of those, or so they just need to support it.
Well, maybe they're working on a
So
really big box, and they just needed
maybe,
some money to because they needed to do a reprint for Adventures, so that
yeah.
because it made quite a bit when they put that Kickstarter out for that. So that kind
Hmm.
of sets it up why maybe they're working on it. Here in a year or two, they'll come out with another big box.
I mean, here's hoping.
Yeah. Yep. So OG Role Player, my number 13.
Cool. My number 12 is without a doubt higher on your list. It rose a little bit for me. It was 13 last year, so it rose 1 spot. And in 2020, it was 27, so it even rose from there. And I see this game rising even higher once I finally get all the stuff for it. Paid a little bit of money to get everything for it off this latest Kickstarter, but we finally fucking got it. And And yeah, so my number 12 is Cthulhu Death May Die.
Nice. You think
Finally
this is
got our
higher
season.
you think this is higher on my list?
Well, I mean, you usually have games that I show you. I didn't
You
show you
showed
this one.
me. I showed you this one, didn't I?
I actually don't know, but I know I didn't show you this, but I don't know if maybe you told me about it. I don't, because
Yeah, I bought it
anyway,
when
it
it
doesn't
came
matter.
out. Yeah.
This one, yeah, so we finally got our season 3 and 4 announcement after years of fans begging for it, and Simon finally ran out of money. They were like, "Oh, fine, okay, here you go, you peasants." And I was able to jump on and get the Unspeakable box and the massive Cthulhu mini, and I can just middle finger all the fucking scalpers for that shit and hope that they have that crap and they can't sell it. So yeah, this is an amazing cooperative Lovecraft game that just gets richer and richer as like the more you play it. I just love how the characters are not your traditional characters. They're not, none of them are even in Lovecraft lore. It's like you're like, I don't remember any story with Rasputin in it. So many different characters with, I know every character has like a unique ability, like a unique track that can go up, but then there's like a pool of universal abilities that are just kind of mishmashed between all of them. And it has this really cool flow of the more insane you get, the more powerful you get, which is actually in another game I'm playing called Aeon Trespass Odyssey, which is obviously a completely different game. But it's like as the fight goes on, as you take more damage, you actually get stronger. And I think that's a really cool dynamic, because when you get hit, like obviously, yeah, I'm closer to death, but you're just like, you don't feel bad, you're not discouraged. It's just like, cool, I'm insane. Like now let's just go in and just, yeah, I think I'll go attack Cthulhu right now. It's like, hey, that's probably not a good idea, and you're like, fuck him, I got a shotgun. And that's just because you have these awesome abilities, and that's what this game really just tries to give you. You just feel like a badass the entire time, even though you're losing and you're probably gonna lose. Like you don't feel bad when you do. Uh, the system of picking a god and a story and just combining all their shit together is just tried and true in every game that ever does that. Smash Up, Sorcerer, this one. I can't think of any other game right now, but yeah, it just that oh well, I guess the modular deck system, Street Masters, just just combining different decks of cards is just like infinite replayability. And that's what this has. Everyone feels like a badass, everyone feels like they contribute. And yeah, so did end up paying my shipping for it. So that will yeah, that I'll have everything for that, and I cannot wait to have that massive Cthulhu mini. So it's the one thing that's
yes.
missing.
Yep.
It'd be super cool.
Well,
So
when you get that, I want you to try the
and paint it.
God Dagon and or Dagon or Dragon.
Dagon.
Try that one out
Okay.
and see if you can beat it.
Well,
Because
what story do I put him with?
I'll tell you, I can't remember. I have it written
Okay.
down. I write down.
I know you mentioned there was a combination that you think is impossible. So
we played it multiple times at multiple counts, and we just get murdered.
yeah, but you didn't have me and my wife.
I know.
So
Cat's got the magic touch.
she does. She does. But yeah, this is awesome. I can see this breaking into the top 10, honestly, with that all that stuff coming my way.
Oh yeah.
So that's my number 12, Cthulhu Death May Die.
Sweet. All right. So my number 12 is a game that 4 years ago and 3 years ago, it was my number 1.
Okay.
Last year it was number 6. So it slipped a little
okay.
bit.
Okay. I think I know what it is.
Yeah. This was one that you showed me.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so shocking. And well, the next one I say is one I showed you. So
gotcha. All right.
But anyway, this one is Orleans. This one is I had played. I think I'd done some bag builders before, but this one did it a really neat way, being
Hmm.
able to pull the have your player board and be able to pull the tokens and place them where you want to be able to once I'll just go ahead and flip it. Once you fill out one of your areas, then you get to take that action. So there's a lot of stuff to go with this game because you have all these different workers. You can buy technologies, and then those little gear things cover up spots to make your stuff more efficient. All the while, you're moving your meeples around that middle board, traveling around, picking up resources, putting down houses and stuff. Um, and you just have so much stuff to do with this. The expansion, is it trade and intrigue? I think is what it was. The intrigue part wasn't good, but the trade part was cool because it brought in that extra board for when you cull tokens out of your deck.
Hmm.
You actually get a lot cooler stuff instead of just, hey, here's some coins. Hey, here's some coins. Here's some coins. You
Yeah.
actually get some other stuff for it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of tracks in this game. You're racing up tracks, trying to be more beneficial because the faster you get up the track, you may get these. I can't even think of the stupid name of them right now. The citizens, the people,
I think that's
those
what they're
little,
called. Yeah.
yeah, that you gain, and there's multipliers with stuff, as well. Um, for when it's however many houses you have out by how many citizens you have, different stuff like that. But anyway, there's a lot of stuff with this game. It when TMG went under, it got picked up again by Capstone. I want to say
Yeah.
it doesn't say on there, but I think Capstone picked
CG.
it. Oh, yeah,
It's a company.
Capstone Games.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, so they picked it up, which is cool. Because it's definitely an awesome game. I mean, it's been out for quite a while. I want to say 2014 maybe, but it is it's just a slick game, and especially if you can buy the upgraded tokens or coin capsules or something for when you're pulling those
Hmm.
tokens out of your bag. Uh, I really haven't messed with the cooperative invasion a whole lot.
I've
Um,
played it once. It's very hard.
yeah,
It's good, but it's really hard. Uh, yeah, this is a game I actually do not own anymore. Like, I feel like this is kind of where I saw everything it had to offer. Like, I have no gripes with it. Well, I do. I think there is a meta, like guild houses and get the citizens, because
yeah,
that's just a insane multiplier. I have one without ever touching that, but man, do you have to play like perfectly to, and it wasn't
right.
even, it was like I barely won too. Like, I think I
Mhm.
played, it was a two-player game. I was playing against Kat, and she didn't even really get a whole lot of citizens, but I'm like hoofing it across to drop guild houses and like try and get other types of goods. And I'm like, whoo, okay, I got like 90 points. And she's like, oh, good job, I got 81. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, so that would be my only negative. But other than that, yeah, it's a great game. I would love to see Capstone do a Kickstarter or something for this. Like
You never
up,
know
like
what
get
they're
it,
gonna do. I don't
yeah,
know if
get
it's just the
like
rights
a,
for it or if they're gonna try to do more with it.
yeah, I think
Or
like a deluxeified, like where the art is updated, where they kind of rebalance it to where there's just a ton more variety, where everything can be stored. I'd hop on that in a heartbeat.
alternate player boards. There you go.
Alternate player boards would be really cool. I mean, just different workers to get
Right.
would be, instead of the five, like that would be neat. Um, I mean the townhouses, all that, and then just kind of you could still do the multiplier, but not make that be like the one way to win.
Right.
So I think this game, they have something there. Like, I think people would, it would do well, but
Yeah.
who
To
knows?
me, this is an evergreen for me. I mean,
Surprised when it hit your number one, especially 2 years in a row.
yeah. This was a high game for me for a long time.
Hmm. All right. Well, good deal. Yeah, it's a very, very good game. This is kind of one of the, it's like one of those where it's like I retired it. Like
Oh yeah,
it's
yeah.
gave it to someone who had not played it because I had seen it, but that's okay. Okay. My number 11, which is my honorable mention this year, was number 16 last year, so it rose 5 spots and it was 15 in 2020, and this is my favorite Mind Clash game, and that is Anachrony. I finally got my big box. I guess finally, it's been a while, but yeah, finally got my big box of Ultimate Storage, and I actually did play this last year to show it to a buddy of mine. And there's just so many different ways to play this game. Tons of different modular expansions that just, I mean, allows for tons of replayability. It is at its core a worker placement game. Various types of workers that you can go to different spots where they're better at. Like you can have the engineer and you go to the mining spot, he just does better there. Basically, it's like if he goes there, he doesn't come back tired, which then tired workers you have to wake up, and if you wake them up with water, then they come back refreshed and your morale goes up, and you can just be like, get the fucking work, and the morale goes down because they hate you. It is also an engine builder. You buy different buildings that you can use that go into your board. That board at the bottom is your personal player board, where different types of buildings get put in, and that can allow you to do your engine. You can have a building that just gives you a shit ton of water that you can then go into another building that you turn in some water for victory points. And then because you're generating water, your morale goes up because you're able to wake your people up when they're tired. That's just one kind of small example that might not even exist. But different locations on the board do different things, get more workers, get more resources to fulfill objectives. The theme of this, I think, is amazing. It's like super high sci-fi, impending doom, and you're creating essentially like you're using time travel to go back to get resources to help you prep for the inevitable meteor that's going to hit the planet, and you're trying to build up enough like victory points that after the game it's like, okay, well now you're the new government because people flock to you more. That's like the theme of it. I think they do the time travel thing really, really well. The more you pull from the past, the higher you're going to create paradoxes and temporal anomalies, which is therefore going to be negative victory points at the end. And the only way to get rid of those is you have to sacrifice a worker. You have to like put them there, and it's like, okay, bye-bye. You're stuck back there, which is probably best because if you're in the past and you don't have to have this high stress of a meteor crashing into the fucking earth. And that's just the base game. Like there's a ton, like I said, a ton of different expansions that like there's like a Doomsday expansion, and there's I think 2 new ones that came with like the Infinity box that I haven't even tried yet. And then the solo for this game is one of the best, if not the best solo that I have played. Like it just does another player so well, like blows my mind. But yeah, this is a wonderful, very heavy worker placement Euro game that I love. So yeah, I mean it honorable mention for the top 10.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll try it at some point. I've never played a Mind Clash game, so maybe this will be the one I try at
Do
some
I
point.
have this on our list? I don't. Oh, I have Tricarion on here.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
between the two, I'd rather show this one to you.
Yeah, with having the solo, this would be the one I would probably
Yeah.
want to
Okay.
try.
I will cross out Tricarion, and I just replaced it with Anachrony.
Perfect. All right. So my honorable mention was my honorable mention last year. It stayed the exact
Ooh.
same as last year. So, and it was new to my list last year. So 11 and 11. I think you've talked about this game earlier in the list. I'm not 100% certain, but I showed you this game, and
then it's not on my list.
you enjoyed it. I think it was. I'm pretty positive I remember seeing it.
I'll
but
let you know.
This one has a stupid name. Not stupid, a confusing name. Because of an earlier game in that line, I guess.
Oh,
But
okay.
then the next one had to put that stupid part of the title in it. It didn't make sense. But anyway,
Let's see.
this game is Whistle Mountain.
You said stupid name, and I thought it was going to be Australia.
Oh, no.
I'm like, oh man, is that high? I was like, because that name is dumb. But yes,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is. I like the name. I just hate that it makes no sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense because they tried to keep it with that whistle with
With the whistle stop.
Yeah, but yeah, this one I bought on a whim because I kept hearing when it came out, I kept hearing, you know, a lot of people, reviewers and stuff that I watch really talking it up. So I went and bought it and I played it, and it's everything I thought it was going to be and more, to be honest. And this one it's just so I don't know if elegance the word per se, but pretty much what you're doing is you are working on building machines in this valley and up in the mountains and stuff, and you're using your air machines, whether it's your blimps or your hot air balloons or stuff like that. And so it's a worker placement with it, but your meeples that you have all over the board are not the workers that you place. The airships are your workers that you place. And then when you're gathering resources, you play these airships down, and whatever is adjacent to that base is resources that you gain. And then once machines start being built and you start placing them on the machines, then you get to activate the machines. So your whole goal in this is, I mean, you're building up the machines, obviously, but you have all the workers there on the left, and you're trying to get them moved over to the right so that they're getting worth points at the end of the game. All the while, you are buying scaffolding, gray pieces at the bottom, and you're placing them out there during build actions and stuff. And then once you have that set up, you can build a machine if you have one out on it. But when you do that, you lose the availability of resources that are on the scaffolding. And the higher, once machines start going higher and higher, that water level at the bottom starts rising. So any meeples that get caught by that fall into the water at the bottom and are negative victory points unless you can find a way to get them out. Also, any machines that get covered up, even partially with water, become inactive. So it's kind of like a timing thing. So once that water gets all the way up and everything, that's where you have it. But if I had one complaint about this game, it would be that where they have you put the stacks. Actually, there's two complaints. The one is where like the stacks of tiles or whatever block a lot of the stuff on the boards. Like when we played it, we just set them over to the side because if you're people sitting around the board, you can't see what some of those are.
If you're playing the game, it's in the way.
Pretty much.
Everything's in the way. Just ignore anything of where they want you to put the components. Don't.
Right.
Put them off to the side.
Well, and then the board is in 4 pieces, which is kind of a weird thing. I don't know why that decision was made, but the other place you aren't just putting your airships out here. You can also, there's these die cut areas on the outside that are worker placement places too, that you can place airships and do stuff. There's a lot of really cool things with this. You also have cards up there that give you different scoring abilities or different things. This game surprised the hell out of me when I got it and played it. And every time I play this game, it just sings to me.
This game kind of has the same feeling that Isle of Cats gives me. Like just that well, it's that polyomino, like worker placement kind of thing where it has a bunch of different stuff that really shouldn't work together, but it does. Isle of Cats does the same thing. So I just made that kind of connection. I'm like, well, yeah, you have those different objectives with the cards. You have the engine building with the cog special abilities, and you have the machines. Yeah, it's just kind of like throw everything in the kitchen sink, but this time it worked.
Yeah, and I guess that is another thing. You know, like you have your little player board. It doesn't show it on here, but you buy those little gear things down here, and they fit into your player board as like an upgrade special ability and stuff. And there's just a lot with this game, and it's kind of, they had talked about doing a solo or stuff like that, it kind of fell under. I think they're kind of done with it unless something rehabs. But
Well, Bezier Games is too busy fucking over their Castles of
Oh,
Mad
yeah.
King Ludwig Kickstarter. Like, hey, here's the colossal, everything. We're done. Never mind where there's an expansion that doesn't fit.
Yeah.
Sorry. Fuck
Yep,
you.
yep.
Buy it.
So
And I'm
anyway,
like, no.
yeah. So anyway, that's my number 11, Whistle Mountain.
It's a good choice.
That's the last of this segment.
That is. So next up is our top 10 games of all time for this year, because it always changes, but that's gonna be super exciting. Gotta love it. So definitely check that out. Let us know what you think of these games in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.